All right, guys, welcome back to the channel. Hope everybody's doing well and had a great weekend. Lots to recap a little bit. A little video to recap all the events over the weekend, both on the Tidal Potomac as well as the Upper Potomac. And then we also got the Susquehanna for events this weekend. So a lot of late September, mid to late September events going down. Some of these wrap up people's seasons before their championships. Some are single events, and then obviously we've got first up Major League Fishing Phoenix BFLs. But first, before we get into that, I want to thank everybody that is a follower, that is a subscriber to the channel, that contributed or participated in. I know our vigil, where we are, unfortunately for the tragedy for Charlie Kirk, and there were a lot of vigils last night and throughout the region, and especially here, in my county. So if you participated in that, or if you've contributed to Turning Point, I want to thank each and every one of you for doing that. Had the opportunity to meet Charlie Kirk back in 2019. 2019, might have been 2020, for the campaign in Virginia. He would come to Lynchburg, he would come to Liberty U and the Standing Freedom Center there quite a bit. But there are always meet and greets and rallies and stuff during the campaign back then. Phenomenal figure. He could definitely capture a room for sure. But just really appreciate everyone that's opened their hearts. Whether you support Charlie or not, totally irrelevant. If you support his mission, totally irrelevant. He's a human being. He's an American. And we should take a lesson. We should take a lesson in that. And some of us live our lives, and hopefully things will obviously transcend for his wife and for his children. All right, events. Let's start with Major League Fishing Phoenix. End of the season. We've got September. We had tons of events on the Tidal Potomac with MLF. Just MLF. So you had Toyota Series event, you had a BFL event, you had the Abu Garcia College Fishing event, and then you had a 2-day now with the Northeast BFL Phoenix Bass Fishing League. How did the weights rack up, right? That's the number one question I get, in terms of, basically we had events every single weekend of the entire month of September. Okay, not new for the Potomac because there's always an event on the Potomac River, but a big event, major event, 100 plus boats, right? So we had Josh Kaufman won the event, took home $7,509, plus he also took home the Phoenix $2,500 kick-in. So great day on the water, almost 10 grand. That's a theme for this weekend, by the way. Stay tuned. So he had 12-3 on day one and 17-10. The day twos of these events have been the kickers, man. In all of these events, other than Abu Garcia College Fishing was just a 1-day event, but the rest of them were 2-day events. 13 pounds, 11 ounces, 16-1 for Aaron Dixon. Aaron walked with 2,466, and Josh Berger in third place, 12 pounds, 6 ounces, 16 pounds on the second day, 28.8. I'm sorry. Josh finished with 29.13 was the total weight. Pretty consistent with even most of the other events. So we've seen a consistent bite. Okay. And then Aaron Dixon was 29.12, 1 ounce away. And then Jason Berger, was 28.8, 15.77. And that is your Northeast BFL top 3. Again, let's check a look. I always like to look at the top 10. 10th place finisher was Logan Kaplan with 13.4 and 9.4 for 23 pounds. So it took 23 pounds to finish in the top 10, and 10th place paid $702. All the way down, 421 obviously was the last. 14th place was the check line, 11 pounds and 6 pounds for 17 pounds. So that was Daniel Weber. So it gives you a good indication. Most of the guys in here on day one were 12. It was tight on day one. 12 and 13 pounds, tight. Everybody. There was a 15-pounder on day one, and that angler fell back to 10 pounds on day two and dropped out of the top 5. But that 15-pounder was massive compared to everybody else on day one, and it just couldn't get on that, follow that up with, and the other guys had a better day too. So day twos were the theme for September for Major League Fishing anyway, in terms of these events where guys really made up ground or guys lost ground. And that goes to like strategy. It goes to like, being on fish that are there, fish that are moving up, fish that are reloading. And then it also goes to you only had one spot and maybe you burned that spot on the first day. I mean, those are all the kind of things that, people will talk about in terms of that. But let's get into some kayak fishing now. Kayak fishing, a lot going on. Upper Potomac, 3 events on the Upper Potomac this weekend. Obviously, Virginia Bass Nation was on the Upper Potomac, and they were joined by a joint event with NVKBA, which is a large kayak fishing club, former KBF. I don't know if that's a thing, like ambassador club for KBF in Northern Virginia. Smallie Chaser River Bassin Upper Potomac event with a team component to it. Also went down in the Upper Potomac. And so in that, it was kind of a tough bite, man. Upper Potomac's been wonk. Okay. Fish it quite a bit. A little less this year than I have in years past because I've kind of gone on to some other river systems, chasing some smallmouth, a lot more, allocate more time. But pretty much fish it like twice a week on average. I mean, sometimes 4 times, sometimes 5 times a week. It's been tough since the middle of August. I mean, it has been, a grind. Because the water has been way down, cold, way down, and clear. And so, not exactly the best conditions when you're trying to chase down those big gals who might be beginning to transition to fall and start to feed up. But we had some rain early in the week, or middle of the week, that kind of also muddied up the, they were shallow to begin with, so you add in that, and you get kind of like stained water, you get muddy water in a lot of areas. You don't really have that much deeper water. To be honest, the Upper Potomac has about 5 areas, and I'm gonna do the video probably on the Smallie Chaser channel. I might co-stream it on this channel if people are interested. Put it in the comments if you're interested in seeing where all of my catches from the Upper Potomac have come since COVID. When I really during COVID is when I really started fishing the Upper Potomac 3, 4, 5 times a week. Okay, so basically I've chart plotted all of my catches, and I've learned over 5 years or so. There's basically 4 really good in the Piedmont. There's 4 really solid areas in the Piedmont. Okay, where I have caught citation smallmouth and 19s, 18s, all the way down to 8s and 9s. Okay, and I kind of chart plotted them on the river in map form. It helps me because when you use your Google Maps and you use those functions, you can put little notes. So you can click on it and you kind of say, oh, like I caught that 18.5 smallmouth in October with a jig. Like you can add little things. So it's really cool. It's easy. It's easy to do. Everyone should do it. It's free. If you're fishing, if you want to really diagnose your river really well. So if you want me to restream that here as well, I'll do that too for those interested in Smallie chasing. But I'll definitely put that on the Smallie Chaser channel. So, Virginia Bass Nation event had 33 anglers in it. Like I said, the boundaries were a little bit different. The boundaries were the same for the 2 events, NVKBA and Bass Nation, and you had multiple guys fishing both events. So keep that in mind when I talk about these numbers. When you have these joint events, guys fish both. Smallie Chasers was above this event, so it had some of the sections, but it had more water open because there were a lot of guys in Smallie Chasers that don't fish Virginia Bass Nation or don't fish NVKBA, and they didn't want to like fish on top of those guys and interfere with theirs. So a lot of those guys fished upriver where there were no NVKBA or no Virginia Bass Nation anglers. So keep that in mind, and that's pretty cool. When guys make those decisions, in terms of sports, like it's like we're not, 87.5. Lower than last year, okay? Again, tougher bite. The river is not the same as it was last year. 87.5, Scott Skinner. He won the Virginia Bass Nation event. Scott, I believe, is a former champion of Virginia Bass Nation. I think 2023, 4, last year. Sorry, Scott. I think it's last year. He's a former champion. And the event, second place, dropped to 84.25. Andrew McCreen, If I mispronounced that, I apologize, Andrew. 84.25, Shane Crawford. Okay, Shane Crawford is the gentleman who caught 102 inches just back in June 26th, in the end of June, in an event on the Upper Potomac. Shane knows the Upper Potomac pretty darn good, pretty darn well, for sure. He had 84.25. That should tell you it was a tough bite. I'm just saying that. He's a hammer on the Upper Potomac. We'll get to some other hammers on the Susquehanna that showed, but this is definitely a tough bite. Didn't really have rising water. Wasn't really the same river system at all when he caught his 102. And he typically finishes in the 90s. He fishes USA Bassin. He typically finishes in the 90s or higher. So him having 84.25 demonstrates how tough this event really was. So kudos to Scott Skinner. Scott also finished in second place in the NVKBA event with his 87. 87.525 or 5. NVKBA event had 55 anglers. Okay, and Edwin Marino 90.5 won the event, so he cracked 90 inches. Wade Schoonover 84.50, and then Shane came in below that with 84.25 in fourth place. 55 guys in the NVKBA event and 33 guys in the Virginia Bass Nation event. So when you do these kind of joint events, you kind of really want it to be a lot closer than that. Like I think there's a lot. It's the first year really that Virginia Bass Nation has kind of been back into it. There's been some issues in the past, at least there was in the past. They've been kind of rectified and addressed with this season. So hopefully next year we see kind of a lot more guys coming and fishing in the joint events, but also the series, at large. I mean, Virginia Bass Nation does a really good job of balancing lakes and reservoirs and then also rivers, kind of an equal mix. And then their championship is coming up on Smith Mountain Lake. So Smith Mountain Lake provides people the opportunity to fish the lake, okay? Big water, big kayaks, Hobies, whatever, Nars, big kayaks. But it also has some of the river, because it's dam to dam. So it has some of the river in play for people who are paddlers, no motor, that want to chase some smallies. So kudos to that for that. Also, big shout out Ben Caldwell. Ben Caldwell, his citation was listed but there were 2 citations caught in the Virginia Bass Nation event. And 1 citation caught in the Smallie Chaser event. Ben Caldwell had a 20-inch citation logged in Virginia Bass Nation and the Smallie Chaser River Bassin team series. So big shout out Ben Caldwell. And then there was 1 other citation, smallmouth caught in the Upper Potomac in the Virginia Bass Nation event and NVKBA event. Big shout out Thomas Aarons. You guys are familiar with Thomas Aarons. There's a podcast in the region, Fishing the DMV. Go ahead, check that podcast out. Thomas finished in 10th out of 55 on the Upper Potomac event for NVKBA with 76.75 inches. So good job, Thomas, on that team. Smallie Chaser River Bassin, Upper Potomac, won by Mr. Troy Wines, Virginia's smallmouth hammer. Okay. One down there, he's not from the Upper Potomac at Watershed. I mean, he's from down in Virginia and a hammer on the James River, and places like that. But he made the trek up to the Upper Potomac. I think it's only second time he's been even fished the Upper Potomac. And he got 76.75, followed by Jason Netzer and John Beverly in second and third place. In the team component, Team Netzer, Team Caldwell, 133.75 inches. Won the team side of that, so that's pretty awesome, dude. Teams are really cool. I know a lot of people aren't like, but I mean, if you ever fish a team event, it's really cool. It's a lot different. I know everybody wants to focus on those individual events, but team events are a lot of fun, especially if you got little side bets going on and stuff like that. It's just great. Check those team events if your series or club has a team. Every club should have at least one team event, in my opinion, because it's just fun. It changes things up, in that regard. Okay, then, of course, the big one. What I mean by the big one, think about this. The payouts for this kayak event were higher than the BFL Major League Fishing 2-day event payouts for boaters. Crazy as that. Big shout out to Mike Accord and the guys at Susquehanna Fishing Tackle, SFT, Columbia, Pennsylvania. One of my favorite tackle shops, okay, when I'm in Pennsylvania. Okay, you got to stop in, okay? If you're fishing on the Susquehanna and you don't stop in, you know, it's the equivalent of not stopping at Buc-ee's, okay? I mean, I'm just saying. All right? 120 anglers show up for this event. This event was a freaking crazy. You know, I apologize to Mike because, I mean, we already had these events down in Virginia on the Upper Potomac were scheduled 5 months ago. So when it got announced that there was going to be the Susquehanna River Kayak Classic on September 20th, a lot of people were just like, because a lot of people needed that Bass Nation event on the Upper Potomac to qualify for the state championship. So there were probably, they had 120. I honestly believe if these other events were not going down on the same day, SFT would have had 155 anglers. Crazy. They would have, because you had 55 NVKBA guys fishing the Upper Potomac for their series. You had 33, okay, people fishing. Some of them overlap with NVKBA, but a lot of them didn't. Okay, some of them were from Smallie Chasers, some of them were from other clubs. So they easily could have had 30, 35 more anglers. So hopefully next year, guys at SFT, get that date locked in a little sooner than this year, and I think it's going to grow. I think it's going to grow. Big shout out to 13 Fishing, Crush City, and Rapala for sponsoring all that. You know, and putting it up on the line, and obviously a 13 Fishing rod was given away to everyone who entered, which is really cool. Just a great thing. $150 event, and they still pulled 120. Okay, that gives you a lot because you're getting that rod. You're getting that rod with it, probably $100 value or so. I'm not really sure what the exact rod model was, but just really crazy event. So when if you hear some things on social media, okay, just dismiss them. Okay, I'm gonna get another video concerning that because I think it, you know, I don't want to. I'm trying really hard in this post-Kirk period to stay away from the negativity. I really am. And unfortunately, there are people who live there. They just live in that. And I don't know what to do with that because they're destroying kayak fishing in Pennsylvania. They are. I saw a post where, a guy's already said he's never going to fish another freaking tournament again. And it had nothing to do with Susquehanna Fishing Tackle. I mean, had nothing to do with the organization, nothing to do with the event, it had to do with just pettiness about, winners. And again, once again, second event back-to-back in Pennsylvania where there have been people trying to gin up stuff. And I'm going to cover it because I think the only way we get through this period is to, like Charlie Kirk said, shine light on them. Shine light on who they are. And people who know these people, get in their ear, get in their heart, that there's no place for this. I want to take this, before I talk about the event results, which are crazy. I want to give a shout out to a podcaster that I've only recently started following, Bronzeback Bassin, Carlisle Esterly, okay? Because he stepped up. Okay, and I know people have said comments have been removed. I know people have written me and messaged me that say that they're not going to watch that podcast anymore because their comments have been deleted or removed or whatever. I hear you. I understand. I sometimes have to moderate. You got to sometimes, especially when things get crazy and you don't want to have certain things on your page. I mean, I totally get it. But he stepped up because he apologized. He took ownership for having a knee-jerk reaction to something that he saw on social media. In his podcast, he apologized to the angler, okay? An angler who fished his first kayak fishing event ever, okay? People have been attacking this individual. same way they attacked 2 anglers in August. Okay. So I want to give that quick shout out to them at the podcast for doing that, for taking responsibility for, commenting on a Facebook thread, which I will highlight, and I will shine the light on that Facebook post and that angler and those people. And there are some real prominent people in that thread making some comments that absolutely don't need to be made. Like, what are you doing? Okay? But you guys need to know who these people really are. They're great anglers. But who are they as people? That's what people need to start looking at. Who are these anglers really? Who are they as people? How do they treat people? Right? What's in their heart? Right? So big shout out to Carlisle Esterly and the Bronzeback Bassin podcast for apologizing, owning it, knee-jerk reaction, long weekend, lots of travel. You're out on the water and you see something and you think, because we all do it. We all think because we see something on the internet that it's real. Okay? We all think that it's factual. Most of the time, 7 out of 10 times, it's not. Okay? But Susquehanna Fishing Tackle, Susquehanna River Classic. Crazy. Redemption. The Classic was redemption. And when I say that is, if you've been following this channel, you know where I'm going. Jacob Hausman, 97.5 inches, took home $8,220. Plus he won Big Fish with 20.75. Okay? Sam Eiler. Sorry, Sam. 95.50 inches, fishing his first kayak. And this is, guys, let me finish this real quick before Brad Freidinger? Hope that's right, Brad. It's 93.75. Those are your top 3 finishes. Susquehanna Fishing Tackles, Susquehanna River Classic, okay? Let's talk a little bit about Mr. Sam Eiler, okay? 95.5 inches on his river, first kayak event ever fished. That's what it's about. That is what it's about. The first event the guy ever fished in, he finishes in second place, takes home $2,500. This is why the Susquehanna Fishing Tackle folks put this event on. Reportedly, more than half the field, or almost half the field, this was their first kayak fishing tournament ever. And guess what? Guess who's upset about it? The old guard, the OGs in Pennsylvania. What are we doing? This is how you grow the sport, guys. You invite new people in. But when we invite new people in, if you tear them down right after their first event, is that how you grow the sport? It's not how you grow the sport. Shame on them. And if you're a pro, and I consider a pro, people fishing Bassmaster, or the old people who used to fish Hobie, that have kind of made a living fishing. I mean, thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars every month they're earning fishing these Bassmaster and these old Hobie events, right? If you're in these feeds commenting, you're not professional at all. Take a look at yourself. Because professionals don't engage in that crap with the kayak Karens. They don't. I mean, you're trying to tear down, you're involving yourself in feeds where they're attempting to tear down a first angler for fishing where everybody fishes in Pennsylvania. Again, I'm going to do a separate video. Look for it. It is on dam fishing. It is on why so many of these people got their panties in a twist over dam fishing. And I just want to say this to these so-called professionals. Don't come to the James River then, Bassmaster. Go ahead and listen to all these so-called pros. The James River has 9 dams. Everybody in Virginia that grew up fishing the James River and the Upper James knows all about fishing at dams. I don't know where these people get off condemning people for fishing right below dams. I understand there are laws, and there are laws in different states, and there are laws, and you got to abide by the laws. That's not what this is about. This is about judging and criticizing anglers for fishing dams for smallmouth, when everybody knows we go and fish where the fish are. okay? Like, it's September. Like, I don't know what the weather's like in Nebraska, okay? But in Pennsylvania and in Maryland, Conowingo, okay? Upper Potomac, dams. You go to dams, okay? The fish move up for the oxygen. Move up. It's not hard. And so if you spend your time for 3 days pre-fishing for an event to find fish, and you find fish, and you find that they're at the dam area, what? They just have to, they can't fish there because they're now so worried about what people are going to shame them for fishing at a dam? I guess these people, man, I mean, I guess that's why. They live in their own echo chamber, because if Hobie had ever come to the James River, or Bassmaster had ever scheduled the James River, this is what they would have to deal with. 9 freaking dams along that river, okay? And like, it's just, it baffles me what's happening on social media in Pennsylvania. It really does, because it really sets it back. I think Carlisle said in his podcast, Bronzeback Bassin, he really hoped that this didn't really have a negative effect on kayak fishing. It has. It already has. There are already people walking away, and there are already people posting on social media that they're never going to fish in events again. Why? Because of the very post that Carlisle freaking responded to. That's total horseshit. Okay? And that's why. Again, can't happen, shouldn't happen. Big shout out, okay? Arlie Minton, I think North Carolina, all the way up on the Susquehanna, caught 2 citations. There were 8 citations caught in the Susquehanna fishing tackle event for their classic with 120 anglers. So there were 8 citations. One of those citations was caught by Jacob Hausman, 20.75. The reason why I said, if you're just tuning in, because of, you work for a living, or you got life and you got kids and you're not paying attention to all this stuff that's happening on YouTube and on Facebook, all that stuff. Jacob Hausman, the reason why I said redemption is Jacob Hausman is the guy who got disqualified at the Kayak Adventure Series event for fishing at a dam, okay? And now some of the guys in the top 10, not the top 2, some of the guys in the top 10 of the Susquehanna fishing tackle were fishing near dams, okay? But I want to reiterate, the location and area of where there was controversy for the Kayak Adventure Series back on August 8th and August 9th. That area wasn't even in bounds in this event, okay, from what I understand. So it's not the same dam, because there are multiple dams along the river, okay? And sometimes that's where the fish go in September, okay? Especially when the water's like freaking 5 inches, all right? So anyway, I say redemption tour because the guy took a lot of freaking heat, a lot of flack, a lot of BS from the kayak Karens of Pennsylvania, and just like try to put him through the woodshed. And what they try to do is shame him out, like, because they didn't want to compete against him because they can't beat him. I'm just saying. They couldn't beat him before Kayak Adventure Series. They didn't beat him in the Kayak Adventure Series, and they didn't beat him on the Susquehanna Fishing Tackle for River Classic. It's just kind of prove it, like, okay, the guy's a legit stick and legit hammer, okay, on his river system. And so people are like, oh, well, he couldn't do that on my river. Well, so what? Like, I probably couldn't do it on your river. Like, I probably can't catch as many freaking inches on your river as I do mine river that I fish 3 times a week. I mean, like, come on, like, what are we doing? Hey, man, stop embracing the suck, okay? And just freaking, like, enjoy and celebrate the fact, because an event like this can't go away. If we want to grow kayak fishing in the region, an event sponsored by Susquehanna Fishing Tackle cannot go away. It has to grow, okay? And everyone who is worth their salt in soul should be getting behind this and end it. Stop with the negativity. Stop with all tearing people down, let alone some guy who freaking joins Tourney X a week and a half ago and freaking fishes an event on his home river for the first time, which is what Susquehanna Fishing Tackle was, the whole purpose of the event really was, and finishes in second place, and people want to tear him down and try and dissect him. And guys, I'm going to say this, man. This stuff with guys taking pictures of people out on the water has to stop. It just does, man. If the angler didn't get disqualified by the tournament director, if the angler, all these things you could add up to, like, what are we doing here after the event? That there needs to be an investigation. Like, no, there should have been a protest if you thought you had a problem with it. But instead, you weren't fishing. You were too busy taking pictures with your camera. Like, again, this stuff. This stuff's not a good look. It's not good. It's not how you grow the sport. But I don't know what to do with it. Maybe I'm wrong. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe I should shut up. Like, I could be wrong. But I was raised, and and I know, like I said, what Charlie Kirk and people like that believed in. Shine the light on this kind of stuff. Expose these people for who they are so everybody else can recognize, I don't want to be part of that. That's not what I want to be part of. I want to be part of this. I want to be part of the positive. I want to be part of growing the sport. I want to be part of bringing new people in. I want to be part of ending the drama. And when you have professionals or so-called professionals chiming in Facebook feeds, negative-wise or sarcastic-wise, or like, kind of calling out locals, like, okay, like, I should know better. I mean, those people should know better. It's all habit. But anyway, crazy weekend. Congrats to all the winners. Everybody who fished these events, congrats. It's September. But crazy thing about the Susquehanna fishing tackle that I want people to think of. When you go to, like, I'm going to post up the angler. I'm going to post up the Facebook, stuff. So people have an indication of really where people, who people really are. Like, okay? Because what they're saying is just not true. It's just not true. I don't know if it's envy, jealousy, what it is. But let's take a look at the facts. These guys who finished 1, 2, 3 in the River Classic, they actually caught more fish, or at least the first and second place guys. They caught more fish than the Bassmaster 1-2s on the Susquehanna last year. Bassmaster wasn't on the Susquehanna this year, but they were on it last year, right? Okay, so Ewing Minor had 94.25, his best 2-day. Remember, Bassmaster and the Old Hobie are 2-day events. So in 2 days events, his best limit was 94.25. Okay? Christine Fisher, very vocal in the Facebook comment threads these days. Season must be over, I guess. Or no more Bassmaster Opens to fish. I don't know. But very vocal and kind of crazy. Okay? But we'll get into that. She had 94.75. Her best limit on Susquehanna. So these two local guys put up 97.50 and 95.5. And maybe they should have because they're local and they fish the Susquehanna all the time. But we know that doesn't always happen. Shane Crawford had 84.25 on the Upper Potomac. That's his river. And just 2 months ago, he had 102. Okay? So it doesn't always go that way for locals. Okay? Russ Snyder, 94 inches. Okay? He had a 97.25 too on the Susquehanna. All right? So what are we looking at? Jordan Welliver. We'll talk a little bit about Jordan later. Okay? 95.75 and 94.75. These guys. So when people start throwing this stuff out there, remember what we're talking about. These are local guys that freaking outfished some of the most well-known anglers on that river. If you look at previous events, now sometimes obviously there are some guys who have done better, I think, than 97.50. Going back, I don't remember the Hobie stuff because it's no longer on Tourney X. But you can check the Bassmaster events for 2024, 2023. Make up your own minds. But why are we slamming these guys? Like, this is crazy, man. Because they're locals, local legends. I want local legends. Guys, I'm gonna let something into a lot of people out there that may be watching this video or maybe get sent this video by a friend for the first time and don't know. But those guys that fish Bassmaster and Hobie, they've never fished against the local legends on the Susquehanna. Okay? So when someone makes a comment about local legends, about how great they were supposed to be, the local legends on the Susquehanna River don't fish in tournaments. Okay? They're a lot. There's 5 or 6 guys that'll drop freaking 95 to 100 inches all the time. There are guys who go out in boats that'll drop freaking like massive amounts of smallmouth. Okay? They don't fish in tournaments. And now I'm beginning to understand why after a couple years. They just go out there and they catch fish. Okay? So the local legends of people we're talking about that are the actual guides and hammers and guys on the Susquehanna River, they don't fish tournaments, darling. Okay? They don't. All right? Instead, what we get is criticism for the local guys who go out there and consistently drop 90 inches on their river because they put the time in. They didn't just come into town once a year, fish for a couple days, and fish a tournament. Okay? These guys fish the river every single week. It's their river. So it's not a shock. Wasn't a shock last month. It's not a shock this month. Okay, that you got rivalries internal within a state. It happens. We got rivalries here. But usually it's a good, positive rivalry. It's not negative. It's all gotten kind of negative up in PA. And now we got other people who don't even live in Pennsylvania fueling it from the outside, feeding the social media frenzy. When we should be staking back and celebrating 95.5 inches the first time you enter a kayak fishing tournament. That's some shit right there, dude. I mean, I love that shit. I don't know, and if you don't look at that and you're like, man, that's freaking the shit, then what are you doing in kayak fishing? Like, why are you bothering participating? Right? Like, if you can't celebrate someone else for freaking in their first event, or a guy dropping 93.75, or when 25 people in the field evidently didn't even catch a smallmouth, okay? Or people caught more fish, they just didn't log them. Well, why didn't you log your fish, bruh? Like, what are you scared of? Like, log all your fish. I mean, if you know by 11 a.m. or noon that someone's caught 95 inches, like, and you're not gonna log your, what does it say about you if you're not gonna log your fish? Like, what? Let the chips fall where they may, man. It's like, it's not a big deal. But people are like, oh, I didn't log all my fish. I would have, whatever. I knew I wasn't going to be in contention for any money, so I didn't log all my fish. What is that about? Like, I don't understand that at all. Okay, but okay, whatever. 97.5 for Jacob Hausman, money, man. Like I said, $8,220. Plus, he got big fish with a 20.75. Now, that's not the biggest fish I'm aware of on the Susquehanna in the last few years, but pretty darn close. I think 21 something was like the biggest one caught in an event. Redemption, man. After everything, what about that? Celebrate someone coming from the lowest of the low, okay? Getting disqualified from an event was low enough, okay? Having people turn you in to the police, okay, to get ticketed, another freaking low. Having people question your character and integrity, another low, okay? And yet to bounce back in a month and put all that behind you and freaking go out there and smash 97.5 inches should be celebrated. I don't care what all the kayak Karens say. They want to say about anybody. I don't anymore because they've been proven wrong time and time again. And it's like, it's all sour grapes to me. And to most people, most reasonable, rational people, it's sour grapes. That's something to celebrate, man. You lift yourself up. That shows what your true character is when you get knocked down, you get back up. Okay? And you perform. And that's what we saw on Saturday at the SFT River Classic from a guy who just basically got destroyed by people, okay, on social media. And I've said it before. You do you, bro. I say that to everyone here is like, bro, that's all noise. It's all noise. You do you. Keep doing you. And fight the good fight. We'll fight the good fight right along with you. If these clubs want to ban anglers, they want to ban this Sam Eiler because he fished by a dam, legally fishing in an event that did not make dams out of bounds. They had an opportunity to do that. So did Kayak Adventure Series. Okay? Kayak Adventure Series had the ability to make the dams off limits. They chose not to. Okay? That's rest with the tournament. It was legal water, fished in a legal way. It's all good. If somebody wants to suddenly go and ban that individual and not allow them, I'll make them famous too. I'll make them famous. You start banning anglers for BS, we'll make your trail famous. I mean, I'm just saying, we're going to expose the light on you. Okay? Until this crap changes on social media and people stop running to social media to air their grievances in a disparaging and slanderous way, implying that anglers have cheated when the tournament directors, they didn't have anything negative to say about the guy who finished in second place. They gave him $2,500. Okay? So like everybody wants to be a judge. Everybody evidently wants to be a tournament director. Let me give you a piece of advice. I'm a tournament director. You don't want to be one. You don't. Because of this crap. Because you got to deal constantly with this crap. You got to deal with people who want to pick up the call you and bitch and moan about everybody else instead of just going out and fishing. My piece of advice, do better. Okay? Do better. Because, I mean, why try to tear down a positive event in Pennsylvania for the future of kayak fishing in Pennsylvania? Why try to tarnish an event? Like, why? Like, where does that come from? Embrace all these people, man, who went out and fished all these events over the weekend. Upper Potomac. Okay? Come on, man. Susquehanna River. Like, come on. Embrace them. Appreciate them. Lift them up, man. It is hard to win a kayak fishing tournament. I really think that some of these people in this Facebook thread that have won all these events over the past 5 to 7 years have forgotten how hard it actually is to win an event because they've won so many. I think they've forgotten how hard it is to win. But, you know, it's easier to win when you go back to the same places every year. And you've been able to fish the Susquehanna River every year for the last 8 years in Hobie events, Bassmaster events, MLF events, joint events, Kayak Anglers of Central PA joint event. When you've been able to fish a river every year, sometimes twice, Team Kayak Series. When you've been able to go fish a river sometimes 2 times and 3 times a year, you're bound to get better at that fishery and win. But let's not lose sight of how hard it is to win. And when someone does win, let's not immediately jump to trying to tear them down. Okay? That's all I'm going to say about that. Great weekend. MLF, congrats to those guys in the Northeast BFL. We'll see you next year. Hopefully I'll see you next year. Don't kick my ass too bad. Virginia Bass Nation, great event put on by Sean. The Smalley Chaser River Bassin event and team event, pretty cool. And then the NVKBA club in Virginia's event, joint with Virginia Bass Nation. So kudos to those guys for making those events happen. Going off without a hitch during the event, obviously. We all can work on what happens after the event and how we respond and how we act and should act like grown men. But I know that's a challenge for some people in Pennsylvania. But, you know, hopefully we'll get through it. All right, guys. Appreciate you taking the time. Hope everybody has a great week. Get out there. Catch you some freaking smallies. They are freaking transitioning now and starting to slowly chew up. And then they'll be making their way to those mid-fall and then early winter haunts. And it's always the best time to get on some smallmouth. All right, guys.